Everyone, I'm going to introduce you to extremely powerful animating tool that is Adobe Flash. This tutorial will be very helpful to understand of the main window, different tools, different terms which are using to create an interactive animation and using again and again in this chapter number 7 and 8 from your book. So this single video cover all the related main topics of the chapter number 7 and 8. Let's start from the first main area that is known as the workspace. So we are going to discuss about the Flash workspace. Professionals divide this area into three main work areas. So the first is the stage, the second is the timeline, and the third one is the panels deck. Then you can gradually learn how to use all the tools in those areas. One big source of confusion for Flash newbies is that the workspace is so easy to customize. You can open bunches of panels, windows, and toolbars. If you are just learning Flash with the help of this book, though it's probably best if you set up your workspace so that it matches the picture in the pages. So we have the stage, the main area of this workspace. The stage is the rectangular area where you place graphic contents when creating animate documents. The stage in the authoring environment represents the rectangular space in Flash. Default black outline represents the outline view of the stage. To change the view of the stage as you work, zoom in and out. To help you position items on the stage, you can use the guides and ruler. So next we have the tools panel. The tool panel in Flash CS3 contains all the drawing tools and as well as many editing tools. You will use this panel a lot. Most drawing tools have their own modifiers that control how the drawing tool works. So we have selection tools, drawing tools, view tools, color tools, and next we have, and at the last we have the options. In this we have again different commands in these modifiers or different tools. So these are the most helpful to create a interactive animations. So next we will discuss the panels. We have different panels in this window, in this main area. So several panels have been changed in Flash CS3. The panel often have unlabeled buttons and layout menus that hold hidden treasures, or at least hidden features. So some panels we have like tool panels, align panel, color panel. This picture shows you the color panel of the main screen, info panel, scene panel, history panel, and so on. So when you watch this image on this area, so this is a color panel. You can change the color of your different areas in your presentation. So next we have the timeline. The timeline is above the stage in the Flash workspace. The timeline, which contains layers and frames, helps you organize assets in your document and also control a document's content over time. Flash document can play over a length of time like movies or sounds, which is measured using frames. So here you can easily know about the layers, frame rates, playhead frames. Playhead means okay, at which point you are available now. Okay, so next we have the frames and keyframes. So we are going to discuss the frames and keyframes. So like film, Flash professional documents divide the length of time into frames. In the timeline, you work with these frames to organize and control the contents of your document. You place frames in the timeline in the order you want the object in the frames to appear in your finished content. Frames define increments on the timeline. The order in which frames appear on the timeline determines the order in which they appear when a Flash document plays. You can arrange keyframes on the timeline to edit the sequence of event in an animations. So next we have a keyframe. A keyframe is a frame where a change occurs in the timeline. For example, a keyframe can divide. So, for example, a keyframe can indicate between a new symbol instance appears in the timeline. You can also add a blank keyframe to the timeline as a placeholder for symbol you play to add later, or to be explicitly leave the frame blank. A keyframe is indicate on the timeline with a solid black circle. The frame where a keyframe span ends has a small white rectangle. A blank keyframe is indicated by an empty circle. So image you can easily know about the frames, keyframes, empty frames, blank keyframes, empty slots for new frames. You can easily know a solid black circle, the frame that is known as a keyframe. Next is we have a blank circle we have in this area, that is blank keyframe. The next empty frames and the empty slots for new frames. So next we have layers we have in this video. So we are going to discuss the layers. So as you can see in this image, layers are like multiple film strips stacked on the top of each other, each with a different element that appear on the stage. So we have graphic, animations, text, sound, button, frame, actions. So we can arrange our layers according to our requirement, according to our animation document. So when we discuss this in book page number 116, understanding layers, so you can think of a layer as transparent sheets stacked one on top of the other. You can rearrange the order of layers to set the order of objects in the movie. You can decide which objects should appear first in the top layer and which subjects appear later in a lower layer. You can draw, edit, and animate objects in one layer without affecting the objects one another layer. So here we have different options: inserting a layer, renaming a layer, changing the order of layer, deleting a layer. In the page number 116 and 117, there you have the steps of these things. You can easily do according to your requirement on your computer in this software. So we move on to the symbols and the libraries. So a symbol can be reused throughout your movie or imported and used in other movie. These are three types of symbols: graphics, buttons, and movie clips. So symbols are elements you reuse with the movie to reduce the size. Types of symbols I already discussed: graphics, buttons, and movie clips. So next we have instances. With this word symbol, we mostly use the instance word. So instances which can have its own independent properties like color, size, functions, etc., different from the original symbols. All symbols used in Flash movie are stored in library, from where you can drag and drop new instances of the symbol into your movie. So you have a word here, libraries. A library is where you store and organize symbols. When you drag a symbol from a library to the stage, you create an instance of the symbol. Instance means occurrence of the symbols. That another way you can say a copy of a symbol. Okay, next we have the advantages of using simple easy editing, smaller file sizes. By using this, you can easily manage your Flash document. So animate with twins. In the last chapters we also discuss about the trainings. uh, uh, we have the two main things when we use the twins option. In this we have motion twinning, and the second one is shape twinning. So twinning a series of frames that changes incrementally to create smooth movement of change over time. You can set the beginning and ending frames and have flash automatically create the frames in between. Flash has two types of twinning: shape twinning and motion twinning. So shape twinning, you draw a shape at one point in time, uh, uh, and then you change that shape or draw another shape at another point in time. Flash interpolates the value or shape for the frames in between, thus creating the animation. The stage morphs from first shape into the second shape, or you can animate color and gradients. So next we have motion twinning. Motion twins are very common way to create movements with the Flash, because Flash does not most of the work, making things easily for you. Motion twins can also help minimize file sizes, particularly over frame by frame animation, since you have few steps in your document. So when you create a motion animation, you use every slide in your document, every slide in your timeline. So you draw one scene at one slide, one frame, then you move on the second frame to have another scene. So we have a different so we can discuss this in page number 117 and 118, and you can use these things when you create an animation. So next we have shape and motion twin, we already have discussed. So at last we have the sounds from your computer book, page number 125, working with sounds. So here we have different sporting various sound formats. So we have mp3, AIF, wave, etc. The steps are here. We have steps: open the Flash file in which you want to add sound, to import the sound to the library, to import to library dialog box appears, select the file and click OK. So these are the steps to add sounds to make your presentation very attractive, make your Flash document very attractive, and you can easily handle this. So at the last you have a homework. I gave you a revision worksheet as an assignment. You will solve this in your computer science notebook. So later on we will check this according to the requirement. So next we have do practice time on page number 122 from the book, that is more helpful to create an interesting animation. So in the last lessons I gave you different links from YouTube to rehearse the different tools of the Flash software. So be careful and solve this worksheet and try to practice all these tools which I gave you in the shape of links, YouTube links. Okay, thank you very much. Till the next lesson, and goodbye.